What's up guys, Slasher here. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a tier list ranking of all green leaders. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to do that. And let's jump into it. So, here we are. We have all the green leaders, except one, which is the Gohan that was banned. But let's jump into it. So we have little Goku. This card was, during its time, was not even that good. I'm going to put that in trash to start with. What do we got? We got Broly. I would say Broly. Yeah, the Broly was decent. I'll put that in meh. It was definitely better than the Goku. We're eventually gonna, when we get through it all, we're gonna try and organize them in what better order would they be from like top to bottom kind of thing. The Gohan, trash. It had a cool ability when it first came out. You could pay 6 and then just KO all cards, but it was still just trash. And green in general is just, it's not the best place, but there is some good cards coming out. And I believe this coming sets, I hope at least, that green is going to get some love. What do we have? Goku. I'm not sure if this was the Krillin one or not. This one, yeah, no, it was. This one was actually meh. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it wouldn't be like the top of meh. Goku, again, there's so many Goku leaders. I would put this one probably in meh as well, towards the back. I think I had an ability where you take 2 lives and then you do something with that. But still, taking lives for green is not that great. Since Dormant doesn't really protect, you're going to take damage anyway. Ginyu. Now, this was actually pretty fun, this leader. The Ginyu one, I actually have a deck of it. And for fun, it could be very aggro. But, of course, because everything is unique in the deck, it kind of misses out on just some bigger damage. I would put that in meh, and I would probably put that ahead. Because it is actually still pretty aggressive. Gotenks. So, that's the old one. Yeah, I would say it's probably at the top still here. For meh, there's a lot of meh decks, and we're probably going to see a lot more meh decks. Oh, here we are, the Majin Vegeta. I would actually say this is good. It's actually pretty good. It's a good rogue deck. They had some support from the anniversary box, I think it was. The premium one or whatever it was. It's actually a pretty good leader. What do we have? Lord Slug. Sadly, that is trash. What do we have? Turles. This, I think, is the one that has the big tree, the great tree thing. I would probably say that one is towards the top of meh, and I would put it ahead of the Ginyu for sure. King Cold. Now we're talking. Now that's a deck that was actually pretty good for quite a long time. And still today, it is missing out on some good cards for the deck, but it can still compete locally. So I would say it is local good. Chilled, not so much. I would put that in trash. What do we have? Vidal, yeah. Well, to be honest, that's a very good rogue deck. I would probably put that in... Ooh, that's tough. I would say it's competitive, but there are a lot of other decks that came out after this that just do better jobs of what the card's trying to do. Like this, for example. We got the Boo. I would say the Boo is actually somewhat competitive. Goku, this card is a joke. It's trash. And the Vegeta. Sadly, this one... I can't say that it's great. We all want it to be good, but sadly it's not that good. But I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to put it in meh and not trash. And I'll put it just ahead of Goku, because that's where he's supposed to be. And Beerus. So I've built the Beerus and Champa leaders for the decks. they are fun. You start with like a 15k leader and then it becomes a 20k leader, but you start at 4 lives. And with that, if you're playing green and you're up against red or anything that's even slightly aggressive, you can really lose very quickly with this deck. So with that being said, I'm going to put that in... I think the Barris... No, I think the Chumper was better than the Barris. So I will put the Chumper just ahead of the Barris. Though I think it's still better than the Goku. So we'll put that like... Yeah, something like that. We'll get to that later. Cooler. Now, this is a competitive deck. That is one powerful deck. You play a bunch of unisons, and if you want to avoid being counterplayed, just keep playing your unisons. It's a very good deck. Metal Cooler. This one was actually... I built it when it first came out. It's actually a pretty decent deck overall, but there's just lack support for the archetype itself. Though, if you want to have some fun, it can actually perform very well. So, and I'll put it in meh, but it's going at the top. Absolutely to the top. Because I have beaten, during its time, do you know, when Realm of Gods came out, we had like the U7 decks and all that. I would thrash other decks with this. It was actually very good. What do we have? Master Roshi, the Turtle School. That is competitive for sure. It's a very strong deck. Very aggressive as well. The Piccolo, another good one. That one is definitely going to go up here. Might even go meta. But I would still say it's competitive. Like, if you wanted to go to a regionals and take something different, that is definitely a deck you can take with you, for sure. And what do we have? The Gogeta. Yeah, see, this one was... Originally, when it came out, it was very good, but then they ended up changing a ruling on the card, which ruined the Gogeta card that you play. So now it's a lot shittier. So we're probably going to drop it somewhere. Like, I would still say it's locally good just because of some of the recent green cards they made. But yeah, I would probably put it at the back. It's still a good deck. Like, you can play your cards very quickly, and the cards are pretty decent. They're all 19Ks and things like that, and you got 20K double strikes with it as well for 1 energy. But yeah, playing your boss monster is just tricky with the deck now. But I'm sure there are some talented people out there who are watching this that could definitely make something good with it. We have the Broly BR. This deck, so your early game, you lack a bit of just aggression in general, and you're focusing more your turns 1, 2, and 3 trying to get cards under your leader, and then you awaken. You can make your activate mains on your first counters cost 1 less, which is great. You've also got a boss monster that can come out for 1 energy, even for free as well with some of them. It's a pretty good deck, and I would say if you have the right pilot for a deck like this, it can be very good. So I'm going to put it at the top of good locals. I think I'm going to put Boo at the back there for now. Old Cell. During its time, it was ridiculous. It was so strong just because of the 3-drop Cell that you start with. But now today, the leader is just... It's just outshined by the new one, the reborn one. So we're going to put that in the... yeah, I'd put that at the top of trash. The Goku Gohan was the first deck I ever built. You would pretty much give yourself triple strike, and if you didn't win that turn, you lose the game. So I would put that in trash. Android 1718. This was a fun deck too back in its time. You would be able to play your androids for, I think, like 1 less energy. It was a very good deck, but 1 set later, everything just outshined what it could do. And it was just too slow because they didn't make good support for it. They started changing the way they made their cards. More activate mains, more autos that cost 1, things like that. So I would put this probably in trash too. Somewhere close to the top of trash. Because there is still cards you can play for the deck. You could make something if you really tried. it's a lot to be said with most of these decks, to be honest. You can just grab any leader and build something off it, but it's about how much can the leader provide for you, and that's why I think it would go to the back, just because there are better generic Android leaders that you can use. Like the new promo one, we'll get to eventually. Son Goku GT. This deck looked promising, but it's not that great. But it's still better than a lot of older green decks for sure. So I would put this probably at the top of meh, just because it's more consistent than all the previous ones here. Super 17, same kind of deal as well. I would put that just behind the Goku, just because you can remove the chains so easy for that deck, and then you have to restart all over again. But if you can get it out, I think it's a 6 cost or an 8 cost or something. It can be like a 20k, 25k dual attack, double strike, something or other. It's very good. Vegito. Now Vegito. This is definitely going to go into trash because it is just garbage. Nothing more to be said. Android 13. I built this when it first came out as well. This was a fun deck, but it just doesn't do anything really. So I'm going to put this... I'm going to put it ahead of the 17-18 because there were more people that actually used it during its time as well. You could... If you're versing a Goku or there is a Goku on their field or something, your leader gets critical, which was cool, but I mean, that's all it does. Piccolo, this will be Trashalo. Slug, I think this was the one that got the jumbo size leader, if I'm correct, so this was also garbage. The tiny Goku, this was the wish leader. This one was pretty good, but it just didn't do enough. So I'm going to put that, same with the Happy Holidays. I'm going to put that here as well. Same with you. They had potential, but they just didn't do anything. The old Super 17, that's definitely going to go in meta. No, I'm kidding. That's going in trash. It's just shit. Paragus. This, I never really knew much about what the card does. I've never really seen anyone play it. And based on what we've seen in, like, how many decks are being played of it, how many people try to build and use it, I would say not very many. So, at least from that knowledge, I would say trash. And the Chile one as well is trash. There's a lot of trash. But that's green for you, right? Old Reddits. I mean, I would put that at the top of... towards the top of trash. Just behind Cell, because Cell could still... if you think it was like you place a card under it, you KO an opponent's card, which is just generically better than what the Reddits did, because the Reddits didn't really draw you cards. And then we've got the King Goku. This was actually, if I'm correct, this one was pretty decent, but it's like boss monsters for the deck were just stupid, because you would like minus 10k your cards in that. It was just pointless. I'm going to put that, yeah, I think in trash as well. It's sad. There's so many decks here that have potential. I'd love to do a video where I would revisit some of these older decks, especially for green, and then see what could you do with them. Like, what is something that you could do to improve them, just that slightest bit. And of course, a lot of people want to play newer decks and you don't want the old ones, but I mean, there's just so many green decks, and if they keep trying to make new ones, they're either going to be very niche, or they're going to have some weird thing that you have to achieve first in order to play it. For example, the green Broly here. This one, you have to have like 10 extra cards under your leader, and then you can achieve what you want to achieve. So, next is Kaioken Goku, another one. This was also pretty bad, but I think this one was actually a lot better than a lot of other cards out there. Dr. Urlo, I mean, that's a joke. It did have some support they made, but it just doesn't do anything. I mean, if you could make a choice so far of what we've already got out here, I would definitely go with anything from meh, from, let's say, Ginyu even, up until GT Goku here. I would prefer that over the Urlo. And there's just not much support for the archetype as well. So with that being said, I will put that though at the... Yeah, I'll put that at the top of trash. The other 1718, I don't quite remember what this one does. I did try to build some decks around it. I believe there was a way, and at some point there were people in 2022 trying to make rogue decks of it. I do think there is some slider potential for it compared to a lot of these older ones. So I would put that at the top of trash. Tien as well, I mean, that was around for a while. I'm going to actually put that in meh. I'll put that ahead of... Yeah, I'll put that here. The U7 Warriors Goku deck. Sadly, there's not much you can use for it. Though, because it has the keyword skill, you can use a lot of the recent cards that were made. So I would actually put that at the top of trash. No, you know what? Just because you can use the support that they've made, I would put that up here. But it's the fact that it's green. So that misses out. I mean, they just need a good Warriors of Universe 7 blue card. Strictly blue. Instead of... They should have made that Android 17, the Warriors of Universe 7. That really should have just been a blue card. We got Cell. Now, this one, when it came out, was dominating for such a long time. Still a very strong deck. But, yeah, sadly, it doesn't do all the things you want it to do anymore. There's just better cards, better leaders out there now. So I would put that... It's still very good, though. Like, you can pick up 2 of these starter decks, put them together, and you could go to locals for some fun with this. But competitive, not so much anymore. But I would say it is very good. So I'm going to put that right here. Get your ass there. That's good enough. Gotenks. This one, I remember I tried building, but it doesn't really do much. So I'm going to put that somewhere here. I think the Raditz is still better. The Hercule. That one was a bit of a meme. I believe it's just like 1k power or something. Let me take a look at that again. What does this do again? Activate battle. If it's your turn, look at the top 2 cards at the top of your deck. If there are any battle cards, you may choose it to combo with them. Place the remaining card at the bottom of your deck. And the same thing when you awaken. Place all cards in your hand and your drop. This card gains 50k power for the turn if you placed 5 or more cards. Yeah, so that was just a complete meme. But I'm sure someday someone's going to build something funny out of it. But would it be better than any of these trash ones we've seen? I think not. I think, I don't know, somewhere here. Then we've got the Goku. This one was actually a pretty decent leader, but I would still say it's trash. I would put that probably towards the top. I would put that, I think, at the top. It saw a lot more play compared to a lot of these right now. I mean, it might even move the Wish Goku a bit higher eventually, because it was pretty good. Now we've got the Ape Ku. This one was, I believe, you can be all colors, or almost all colors, but it doesn't really do anything else. It's just draw 1 leader, and then you've got the permanent on it. So I would say it's trash. It is trash. There is no real design of support for that, really. You can use a lot of other colors, which just makes it better. But I think overall what it's doing is, not very much. It's not providing much. Now, the newer Reddits, the Reborn one. Now, that one, I think, is actually a very good rogue deck, especially against, like, Android 21. If you can mill their hand, they just can't do anything. Same against Cumber. You can just cut them off. But the problem is, you don't really draw anything either with the deck, which is really disappointing. But I think it's still a locals good. Yeah, I think so. I think you could you can definitely make something good out of that, especially with that new Kaioken 5-cost Goku. You pay 1 if you're 3 or more energy, and all your energy is mono green. You play it, and then on play, your opponent now has to discard a card from their hand. The new Dr. Giro Android 16 something or other promo. Now, this one was actually looking very good. I just made a deck list recently of it, and I think this deck is going to be very good. You can use the new support of the Android Scientists, Android 21 counterattacks. You have a lot of support for this. You can ramp with the deck if you want to. You can make it, of course, the multicolor, and you can add I think it's a 9-cost cells. There's a lot you can do with it. So I would actually put this competitive for sure. I think this is going to be the best green leader until maybe something in the new set comes out that can just outshine it. Now, Frieza, this one, I did see a lot of people making this last year, but I've never really seen it perform at any locals or anything, but I think it's not trash. I think it's actually better than a lot of these things back here. I would probably put this somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere there for now. Gotenks Reborn. Now, this is something I can finally put into meta. This deck is very good. Very, very good. Very consistent. You can, hand destruction your opponent as well. You can turn 2 and turn 3 just be super aggressive. You can KO their cards. There's just a lot it can do. So it's definitely meta. The new Gohan starter deck. That one, it looks decent. I wouldn't say it's like highly competitive. But I think it is pretty good. I would definitely put that somewhere here. You can have a lot of aggression. You can play your Shins, the Noble Supremacy. So then they just can't, for the turn, play... they can't attack or anything with like 7 cost or higher. So it's very good. The old Piccolo. This is trash. It's not good. The Broly. Now this one is a good Broly leader. I'm going to put this at locals good. Because there are some people that can just show up with this. And if you got the right pilot, this deck will just annihilate a lot of other decks. But of course, it's outshined by a lot of like Senshinrons and things like that. The Warriors of Universe 7, Goku, I would put that here as well. I mean, it is trash in a way, but it can still work a lot better than a lot of other decks we see back here. Maybe the Ape could be slightly better, but I think because of the support, like I said before, it falls in that same category. Ribrianne, they made a new card for it for support, but it is still trash. I remember when it first came out too, there was like a handful of people who played it, and then they realized it was garbage, so they avoided it. And then we've got the Goku. I made a deck of this a long time ago. It was pretty fun. That was when they started releasing different kinds of super combo cards as well. I would say the deck, it's definitely trash, but I would say it's towards the top. If you attacked and, I think, KO'd an opponent's battle card, you could restand your leader. To be honest, I think I would go like this. Something like that. And then Goku. This one had the Krillin... Yeah, no, this was the Krillin one, I believe. I think this one goes here. That one actually had... Because there was some chain with it that was actually pretty decent with it. And then the last but not least is Cell. Now, this one... They made a lot of decks with this. That was during the time where they had the Cell that would actually just hand destruction you very quickly. That got banned. That one was just outshining this by a mile. And now we've got the better starter deck, ultimate deck, Cell here. I don't think this is that great, but I would say it would be at the very top of meh. Somewhere here. Yeah, something like that. Now, can we categorize them a little better? I would say The trash, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like I've said, you can just find something that does the most and then just put generic cards around it to make it as good as possible. But there's only so much you can do, really. I would say trash, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's just trash. I'd love to see some support for some of these older ones. I would hope of a lot of them that something like a green Wish deck could come back, so that would be cool to see. That would be the nicest, I think, for it. We've had a lot of Android stuff recently. I think we should slow down with that. Just because you don't want to start making Gamma stronger than it needs to be, or Android 21. You want to avoid those things. But at the same time, you don't want to cut off the new Android 16. But that's why it's competitive for now. But I think if they stop making Android support, it's just going to start dropping lower and lower. But for meh, I would say... I would say this Goku is better than the Frieza. The Champa is better than the Goku. The TN used to be a pretty good rogue deck. I would probably put that ahead of the Beerus. I think the Ginyu lacks in-game, so I'd put that further back. The Chump, I still think, I think you should give it a try if you ever want to. The Ginyu is still definitely better than a lot of these back catalogs here. Just because, yeah, you are playing a lot of 15Ks for free, or for 1 energy. No, for 2 energy, I think. But you get a lot for free from your leader. And, yeah, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. Turles, yeah, I mean, it's decent. Is it better than a lot of these back ones here? I think the TN actually needs to go higher up. What else? The old Gotenks, I mean, it was still a pretty good leader. A lot of people used it as a rogue one for a long time. Even before the Reborn was made. Metal Cooler definitely goes up there. Super 17, yeah, that's probably in the right place. Yeah, Goku's good. Good locals. I mean, Videl is definitely up here. The Gohan here, Cell. Yeah, Cell would be ahead of the Gohan. The Vegeta, yeah. I think this is a good order, like this. Based on the amount of times we've seen them be played, what they can provide, what they lack, what they're good against, compared to what they're not good against, I think this is a better order. You would be surprised. I know the Broly BR looks pretty high up, but you'd be surprised if you find... I've seen some people who pilot this, and it is just astonishing what it can really do. But space is difficult to master in the deck. And for competitive, yeah, well, I would say we don't really know what the Android 16 does, but based on what it can support, I would say it's going to be better than the Cooler. And I would say the order of this would be... I mean, these two saw kind of equally the same amount of play. But I think... Yeah, no, I'm going to go with this. I think this is a good order. And then, of course, Gotenks for meta. So, that's the list. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Thanks for watching. Peace.